vice-presidente de la Fundación de Vail Valley, and we'd like to thank all of you for coming here tonight to find out more about the recent DACA legislation. Queremos agradecer a todos por venir esta noche para saber más de la reciente derechos de DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood arrivals. We are doing this. We had asked Edelina to come up from University of Colorado, Denver, because we've heard recently that many of our families are worried about the decision, that they don't really know what it means for them. Estamos haciendo eso porque estuvimos escuchando algunas preocupaciones por algunas familias en nuestra valle, porque no saben qué va a pasar o que tienen preocupaciones por lo que está pasando en el gobierno para el futuro de sus hijos. Also, we had some staff that were interested in finding out more about what DACA means. También tuvimos algunos personal de nuestra organización y del distrito escolar que quieren saber más información. And we asked for the big room, so thank you, Eagle County Schools. I'm sorry that we didn't fill it up. Gracias a Eagle County Schools por tener este lugar. And I think also that this is symbolic of some of the fear that's in our community, and that if they come out to an event like this, that people may know that they're undocumented. So we're going to do everything that we can today to answer questions in an anonymous way. También creo que algunos no llegaron a eso, creo que por el miedo que tienen en nuestra comunidad, but the information will be available after this presentation, la información que vamos a poner en nuestro website después de esa presentación. So Cassandra, I think, has some cards that she'll pass out for questions and answers. Is she? There she is. Okay, Cassandra tenía algunas tarjetas que va a pasar y ustedes pueden escribir algunas preguntas que tienen tener después de la presentación. So if you have questions, we will actually gather all the questions together, and one of our staff members will read the questions, so we don't know who the question came from. That way we'll be able to answer it just for the whole group. Las preguntas en que escriben vamos a colectar y una otra persona va a leer las preguntas para pueden ser anónimo y nadie puede saber quién está preguntando las preguntas. So I'd like to thank our doctor, Edelina Burciaga. She is coming from the University of Denver, and her expertise area is race, immigration, Latina sociology, law and society. So basically she knows a lot. She has a law degree in addition to working at the sociology department at the University of Colorado, Denver, and knows about pretty much every program that can benefit immigrants, children, and programs that can harm. So please welcome Edelina to come up and talk a little bit about DACA.
So I am going to be using a translator. My grandparents were actually farm workers in California's Central Valley, Mexican-American farm workers. And part of raising my parents was that there was a significant stigma attached to speaking Spanish. And so my parents worked very hard to acclimate in English, and then when they raised their children, they wanted us to have the most opportunities. And so we didn't grow up in our house speaking Spanish. It's something I've been practicing and trying for years, but I'll be using a translator today. I'm very impressed with your Spanish. So it gives me hope that I can someday be that good. So thank you for having me here today. As Melissa mentioned, I am currently an assistant professor in the Department of Sociology at the University of Colorado, Denver. And my research and teaching interests are at the intersection of immigration, the Latino experience, and the law and education. And so as part of that research, I have interviewed over 150 Latino undocumented young adults in California and in Atlanta, Georgia, and now here in Colorado.
Dijo hola, ¿cómo están? Y eso es todo. Ella cuenta que su familia llegó a California y sus abuelos son inmigrantes, que ha tenido muchos años en este país estudiando y tratando de aprender español, pero que todavía no lo domina, pero está trabajando poquito a poquito. ¿Cómo se llama el cantante? Lo que nos va a ayudar, he entrevistado a 150 jóvenes en California que tienen inmigrantes, todos indocumentados, y su experiencia es en ley y en estudios de migración y en sociología, y trabaja en la Universidad de Denver.
So in 2012, President Barack Obama announced the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, the DACA program, and this gave eligible undocumented young adults a 2-year stay of deportation, so it was never a legal status, okay, but it did protect them from deportation, and a work authorization.
En 2012 el presidente Barack Obama autorizó una ley que no era una ley que solucionaba los problemas migratorios, pero que sí evitaba la deportación por un periodo de 2 años para los jóvenes.
It was an executive action, so it wasn't a law, it wasn't passed by Congress, so we always knew that it was up to the discretion of the president, whomever that was, to continue the program or at their option to choose to end the program.
Esta fue una decisión ejecutiva, solamente del presidente, y sabíamos que iba a ser solamente decisión del siguiente presidente de mantener esta ley o no.
In the 5 years that DACA has been an executive action, a program that undocumented young people could apply for, over 800,000 undocumented young adults have applied for DACA protection under the DACA program. And in Colorado, there's approximately 17,000 DACA recipients living in the state.
En el periodo en el que los jóvenes se metieron a la ley, fueron 800,000 los jóvenes a nivel de Estados Unidos que se inscribieron en el programa, y 17,000 están aquí en Colorado.
So my own research and the research of other prominent scholars who have been looking at the experiences of undocumented young adults shows that these young people have been able to make significant economic and educational gains as a result of the program. So they have been able to get better jobs that have health insurance and other important benefits. Many have returned to college. So this program has really opened the door to including undocumented young people who, for all intents and purposes, have spent most of their lives here and consider themselves a part of this country and see their lives here.
Con los estudios que ha hecho bastante gente conocedora de la materia y ella misma, se han dado cuenta que los jóvenes que se han adjudicado la ley de DACA han obtenido mejores beneficios económicos, han creado ventajas financieras para su propio beneficio, ha sido bastante, y en educación también, o sea, ha sido bastante positiva.
And I think it's important to note that not only have these young people benefited from their program, but many have seen their families also benefit in that they are able to take central roles in their families in terms of helping out more with paying for rent or other kinds of expenses. They, in states where they are not allowed to get driver's licenses, they can help drive their brothers and sisters around. So it's provided a sense of security for these young people and to some extent also for their families.
Las familias también se han beneficiado de todas estas partes, porque no solamente han podido traer dinero a la casa, trabajan por obtener trabajos legalmente, pagar poco de renta, y en algunos estados han obtenido licencias de conducir, que antes no se podía, y pueden traer a los hermanos, a la familia y contribuir a la familia.
So, with all that kind of background about what a positive kind of and beneficial experience the DACA program has been, last Tuesday, our current Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, announced that the administration had decided to phase out the DACA program. So to let it, to end it in approximately 6 months on March 5th, 2018.
El 6 de marzo del 2018, por una decisión del Congreso, han tratado de cerrar el proceso de DACA. Van a tratar de cerrarlo en un periodo de 6 meses.
So, what do we know about what this announcement means for current DACA recipients? What we know is that the administration will not be taking any more applications for DACA, so you had to have applied for the program by September 5th, 2017, when the announcement was made. So there will be no more applications accepted for the DACA program.
De las cosas que sí sabemos es que ya no se puede aplicar el programa de DACA. Lo cerraron el 5 de septiembre. El 5 de septiembre ya no se puede aplicar el programa de DACA.
If you have applied for DACA on or before September 5th, 2017, your application will be processed. So if you had submitted an application and received confirmation, it usually comes by text or by an email, then your application will be processed, but it needed to be received on or before September 5th.
Si su aplicación ha sido recibida antes del 5 de septiembre, sí va a ser procesada y usted ha podido recibir un email o un texto diciéndole que ha sido recibida y va a ser procesada.
So you may know young people who have DACA or are currently DACA recipients, and they may be wondering, what happens to my DACA? They may be thinking, on March 5th, 2018, does my DACA expire? And the answer to that is no. Okay, so if you are a current DACA recipient and your work authorization is currently valid, it's valid until its expiration date.
Ustedes que trabajan con jóvenes que están bajo la protección de DACA se van a preguntar muchas veces si el permiso les permite seguir trabajando o queda o ya no es válido. Sigue vigente y pueden seguir trabajando y todo está bien hasta la fecha de vencimiento del documento.
Some individuals may have a DACA that expires on or before March 5th. Those individuals are eligible to apply for renewal for their DACA, and they are being encouraged to go ahead and reapply for renewal. The catch is that you have to apply for this renewal by October 5th. So you really just have a couple more weeks, right? So it's really important that if someone's DACA expires on or before March 5th, that they go ahead and apply for renewal, and that renewal, if approved, will be for the 2 years.
March 5th.
March. If it expires on March 5th.
Si su DACA vence antes o hasta el 5 de marzo, usted tiene la posibilidad de aplicar para renovarlo hasta el 5 de octubre, ¿verdad? Si usted pone la aplicación hasta el 5 de octubre, se va a poder renovar, siempre y cuando su DACA venza antes del 5 de octubre, de marzo.
So I was actually just before this started on the phone with somebody who had a question. She said, my sister's DACA expires in October of 2018. Should she go ahead and reapply? And the answer is no, she's not eligible for renewal. So you're only eligible for renewal if your DACA expires on or before March 5th, 2018, when the program is set to completely phase out and end.
Ella recibió una pregunta de una señorita que su documento vencía el 18 de octubre, el 2018 en octubre, y quería renovarlo, pero no puede porque la respuesta es no lo puede renovar porque tiene que ser hasta el día o antes del 5 de marzo.
So I have a lot more information, but I do want to kind of take breaks in these moments to make sure that I'm getting questions from the audience. I think that was the primary purpose of today. But I feel prepared to ask questions that people might have about what should I do when my work authorization expires, what should I do about paying for school, or any other questions related to the expiration of DACA or other issues.
Ella quiere hacer una pausa durante la presentación para que la gente pueda preguntar, porque cree que es una de las ventajas de esta presentación y de repente la parte más importante de poder responder sus preguntas, y también está preparada para hablar de preguntas que ella se imagina que puedan tener hipotéticas sobre la educación, préstamos y el futuro de los jóvenes que están en DACA.
Does anybody want to write the question and then we can collect it and read it? No? Nobody has a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You can just ask
So take that example of the girl that her DACA will expire in 2018. What's going to happen now that DACA is going to pick up to that particular case?
Okay, so there are two answers to this question. One is more optimistic and one is less hopeful. So the first answer, the answer that I could give her with certainty now is that she can work and live her life until her DACA expires. So continue to sort of navigate her life in the way that she had. It's my understanding that she was working, she's going to school, and so the answer is those who have DACA should continue to work in their jobs with their DACA. I'll say something else that's important, but I'll let you translate.
El señor preguntó qué va a pasar con la señorita que usamos como ejemplo de que sus documentos vencían en octubre del 2018, qué va a pasar con ella. Y lo que nos está contestando es que ella tiene dos respuestas, una positiva y una no tan positiva. La primera, que siga viviendo su vida hasta como la está viviendo hasta el día de hoy, que siga trabajando hasta que sus documentos expiren, ¿no?
So it's important to underscore that those who have DACA and currently have a work permit have a right to continue working in your job. Your employer cannot ask to see your work permit. So they cannot do what is called a process of re-verification or to conduct e-verify again. As long as your work permit is valid, then you are entitled to work in the position that you've been working in, and your employer cannot single you or any other individuals in your job out to ask for your work permit. You can also not be let go from your job just because you are a DACA recipient.
Su empleador no puede llamar y preguntarle para volver a revisar su documentación una vez que ya esté trabajando, para revisar si es de DACA o no, y eso es ilegal, no puede hacer eso. Y mira.
So the more positive answer is that there has been legislation introduced in July, actually, before DACA was rescinded, in July 2017. It's the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act, or the DREAM Act. And so part of the rationale of ending the DACA program that the administration has offered is that it wants to force Congress to deal with developing a more permanent solution for undocumented young people, for dreamers.
Una de las cosas en las que se están trabajando ahora, desde julio del 2017, cuando se derogó esta ley, es que el Congreso tiene un tiempo determinado para trabajar en aprobar o crear una ley más consistente y más determinante para los Dreamers.
So the positive answer is that Congress will be able to pass some sort of legislation, either this DREAM Act or there is another act on the table called the Bridge Act. And the Bridge Act would merely kind of legislate or put into law a program very similar to DACA. So the DREAM Act would provide a pathway to citizenship for undocumented young people, and the Bridge Act would just continue to protect them from deportation and provide work authorization. So there's sort of two different legislative proposals on the table. The DREAM Act is preferable because it acknowledges the need for citizenship at some point.
El Congreso está trabajando en dos posibles soluciones al problema de DACA. Una es el stream y la otra es el bridge. El stream significa como el riachuelo de agua que lleva agua y el bridge es el puente. El stream habla de crear un camino hacia la ciudadanía, que sería lo mejor, digo yo. Y el bridge, que es el puente, trata de mantener DACA como está en este momento. Que puedes trabajar y estudiar y mantener tu estatus legal, pero no un camino a citizenship. Esas son las dos propuestas del Congreso en este momento.
So you can see how one sort of outlook is more positive than the other, and that it's our hope. There's a lot of momentum behind coming up with a solution for dreamers, for undocumented young people, and I think that the momentum is pointing towards pushing our legislators to sort of come up with a more permanent solution.
Considerando que esto nos genera mucho miedo y muchas incertidumbres, también hay una cuestión positiva en todo este movimiento al pensar que ahora hay mucho movimiento positivo hacia adelante en cuanto a solucionar de una manera más permanente este problema de los indocumentados traídos como niños como infantes.
Are there other questions?
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
I have one. Somebody asked me what would happen if a kid has a driver's license that's like an underage driver's license when they're under DACA, and then they can't renew their DACA, and then does their driver's license just expire and they're not eligible for a new one?
Do you want to translate that?
Melissa pregunta que qué pasa si hay un menor que tiene una licencia de conducir, pero es menor de edad, qué pasa con esa licencia de conducir cuando su DACA vence, ¿no?
So I was trying to, this is a really important question, and the reason why it's so important is because we know that driving without a license is one of the primary ways that someone can kind of get mixed up in the immigration system, right? Often routine traffic stops can lead to being detained and reported to ICE, and these types of things vary by county, and I have to be honest that I don't know in Eagle County what the agreement is. So being able to maintain your driver's license is really important and probably one of the things that's at the top of everyone's mind. What I can say with certainty now is that Colorado is a state that allows undocumented immigrants to apply for driver's licenses, and I would think that your license would expire, the license you got under DACA would expire, and you would then have to go through the process that an undocumented immigrant would go through to get a driver's license.
So, undocumented.
We have someone that works in immigrant law here in
Oh.
County, and they wanted to just add more information.
That is a very logical thought about the Colorado driver's license. But in order to renew your driver's license, you have to prove lawful presence.
Mm-hmm.
If you're undocumented, you have to prove that you've been here, for, I think, for a 2-year time period.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have an ITIN number.
The ITIN. Mm-hmm.
But for a DACA recipient with a social security number, they can't get an ITIN number because they've already had a social security number assigned.
Mm-hmm.
So the renewal is not possible.
Okay. And this is an issue, I think, for people who first at some point had ever gotten a social security number and then became undocumented and you need the ITIN, right?
And
Yeah.
it is a big problem.
It is a big issue for people who for some reason or another got a social security number and then later didn't have work authorization anymore. Yeah. So and this is a real issue across the state, and it's made it really difficult for people to get their driver's license. Yeah. But, yeah.
I don't remember anything. No, dicen que si su licencia de conducir vence, normalmente en Colorado, si usted es indocumentado, también es un estado donde permite sacar una licencia de conducir, pero tiene que tener un número ITIN number, que es el número que le dan para hacer los impuestos. Pero los que tienen ya DACA se les ha otorgado un número de seguro social que reemplaza al ITIN. Entonces el ITIN ya no vale, ¿no? Porque ya tienen número de seguro social. Entonces ese es el problema que hay ahorita, que en teoría no se puede renovar una licencia de conducir. Entonces, y es un problema grande, ¿no?
Sarah is working with a local attorney who's working with law enforcement agencies to come up with a set of policy directives for law enforcement in cooperation with ICE to give to residents of Eagle County. And we formed sort of a task force with some of the Eagle County commissioners. So if you could let people know that at some point we hope to have some kind of policy for how law enforcement will treat undocumented.
That's awesome and super important.
Algo que me olvidé que dijo ella al principio fue que cuando los privilegios de manejar son importantes y son muy delicados, porque si te para un policía o una persona de ITIN, o perdón, de ICE, que es el programa de inmigración, te puede causar algún problema si estás rompiendo alguna ley, ¿no? Sobre todo porque es una manera de mantenerte ya en el sistema y ya te reconocen, entonces sí es un problema. Y lo otro es que la señora que es abogada de inmigración dice que la policía y la gente que refuerza la ley en el condado de Eagle están trabajando en un sistema para poder brindar un poquito más de permisos para la gente y ayuda en ese sentido, por lo menos información, para que no haya como una persecución por ese lado, ¿no?
So I think I meant to do this at the beginning, but I also want to acknowledge the great organizing and knowledge that exists in this community. I was very grateful to be asked to come here, but it's also an opportunity for me to also learn about what's happening and if there's anything I can do to help facilitate any efforts. These kinds of agreements are crucial to have between law enforcement and amongst community members and law enforcement, because it's really on the ground that a lot of these kinds of things end up happening.
Está muy contenta ella de venir a esta comunidad y habla de que la comunidad está muy preparada y le gusta mucho el tipo de preguntas que le están haciendo, y que también le gusta saber que es muy importante los nuevos proyectos que se están armando como gobiernos locales y sobre todo con los de la ley para ayudar a la comunidad con estos leyes que cambian, ¿no? Constantemente.
So other questions about what's happening with DACA or what's kind of
What age do kids usually get the DACA designation? Is there a set time limit that lasts, or is it case-by-case basis based on the situation, just a general length of time?
So that's a great question. I'll let you.
Brett pregunta que cuál es la edad y los límites y los parámetros de las edades, si hay una edad límite para obtener o aplicar para el DACA o cómo funciona.
So young people were typically either eligible for DACA at the age of 15, and so in my research I've talked to a lot of young people who grew up during a time where DACA wasn't a thing that existed. And so there's been this interesting kind of generational cohort emerge where you have some young people what we call aging into DACA. So they turn 15, they apply for DACA, they get the status. The status typically lasts for 2 years. And they were reapplying, and based on state laws, were eligible for various kind of benefits, either in-state tuition or driver's licenses. And then you have this sort of older generation of undocumented young adults who had lived much longer without status. And so they couldn't get driver's licenses, they had a harder time applying to college. But I met a young woman last week who was about to turn 15 and was going to apply for DACA and couldn't, obviously because of the announcement. And she said to me, well, I guess I'm just gonna live undocumented. So 15 is the age that young people, the youngest age people can apply, and the term was for 2 years.
Y la respuesta a la pregunta es que básicamente tiene que ser mayor de 15 años para poder aplicar al DACA. Hay gente que ha tenido diferentes situaciones, que han podido renovarlo constantemente, o que son mayores y que también se les ha aceptado, pero menores al parecer no aceptan si eres menor de 15 años. Y hay leyes de diferentes estados, como las leyes que te permiten sacar una licencia de conducir, o in-state tuition, que es el costo de estudiantes como si fuera residente del estado, que solamente se aplica para los ciudadanos.
Do you have a percentage of kids that do DACA that go on to higher education versus undocumented students that go on to higher education and graduate from high school? Are there any studies about, I mean, you said it improved their economic status, but do they tend to go further into education or into more specific careers if they have DACA versus not?
We don't have information yet about the types of careers that those with DACA are going into versus those that are not, but it has facilitated pursuing college, because one of the greatest benefits is the ability to work, right? So to work and be able to go to college. So I think the most recent studies on the national data for DACA estimate that between 60, I think, to 80% more undocumented young people, those who were undocumented and then got DACA, decided to return to school. So it was just too hard before, when they couldn't work, to be able to manage paying for college and also supporting themselves and their families.
Melissa pregunta que si hay alguna estadística o algún porcentaje, algún estudio que indique la diferencia entre alumnos que fueron a la universidad indocumentados o quisieron seguir los estudios universitarios o superiores siendo indocumentados, en comparación con los chicos que sí tienen DACA y que tienen las oportunidades de ir a estudiar. Entonces, lo primero que respondió ella es que no, que ahorita no hay mucho conocimiento profesional o específico sobre estos números, pero que en general, a nivel nacional, hicieron otra encuesta después, que entre un 60 y 80% de jóvenes que eran indocumentados y se acogieron al producto de DACA, sí regresaron a la escuela, a nivel que sea, no university or just high school or any level. Superior, ¿no? Regresaron no solamente a la escuela, no solo la gente de la high school, sino superior, college o universidad.
Has the price for the application changed at all, or is it still like $460 or $64?
I think my understanding is that the application itself is $495. You could probably answer $465.
It's still, yeah. Fees went up a couple months ago. The fees for everything went up a couple months ago. They haven't gone up since then. And then to reapply every 2 years is about the same price, or you can't reapply anymore. We'll write before the, yeah, okay.
But I have a question for you. Every 2 years you have to redo your biometrics and your background check, and that's a separate fee, right?
It's an $85 fee to do your biometrics, and yes, you have to do that every time you're applying for new benefits.
Yeah. So the application, it can add up, especially for families that have more than one applicant in their family.
Preguntaron si el costo seguía siendo de $465 por aplicar. La abogada dijo que ya no se podía volver a aplicar, pero la renovación también cuesta $465. Y hablaron del costo de las huellas biométricas, que son donde te toman las huellas digitales y tu información. ¿Y how much is the biometrics? $85 por los biométricos, que siempre lo tiene que pagar cuando hace cualquier cambio de estatus o cualquier trámite migratorio se tiene que hacer.
But you can reapply if it's going to expire in the near future.
You can reapply if it's going to expire on or before March 5th, 2018.
So you can reapply, so
Yes.
then you feel comfortable that that'll still be good for 2 years.
They'll process the application, and the term is 2 years. But the National Immigration Law Center is recommending that if you're considering reapplying, to consult with an immigration attorney or a Bureau of Immigration Affairs accredited individual, just to make sure, that everything is kind of on the up and up. So with things being the way they are, I think it's better to have someone in your corner.
Preguntaron si es que entonces no se podía reaplicar, pero si usted ya tiene el DACA y se le vence antes del 5 de marzo, es la regla que se aplica aquí, sí puede hacer una renovación, no una aplicación, sino una renovación. Y esa es la renovación.
Hablando otra vez del ejemplo de la jovencita, donde se le va a vencer en octubre de 2018, y estamos platicando de que es ilegal que el empleador, que ahora sabe lo que está pasando en el país, le pida a esta jovencita sus papeles o verificar otra vez su estatus legal. ¿Qué es lo que pueden hacer los residentes de DACA en caso de que su empleador haga esto? ¿Cómo? Porque es ilegal. ¿A quién pueden acudir para que les ayude?
So it's my understanding that if, so he asked if, take for example this young woman that I was talking about, that her DACA expires in October, and I said, employers cannot ask for your work permit if your DACA is still valid. But let's say that her employer, any other employer, asks for someone's work permit. It's under the Department of Labor. There is an Office for Immigrant Employee Rights, and you could make a complaint to this office. I don't know much about that half of the process, but I think there are still opportunities for undocumented immigrants to assert their labor rights through this office. But I don't know if our attorney has any.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be negative or cynical, but you could be deported, or this person could be deported.
So why this happens now? I mean, she has her DACA valid until October 18, and next month, October 17, the employer is asking for verification. She cannot complain with the Department of Labor?
No, she can.
She can.
Or you're saying she's going to risk deportation?
Well, I mean, for some reason I was thinking she was going to make a complaint following expiration of her work authorization.
Oh, no.
It was during the pendency of her work authorization she didn't make a complaint.
Yeah. So, I think that these situations, again, this is where it's helpful to have, to consult with somebody, right, to get feedback. I was just in Grand Junction a couple of weeks ago, and they shared with me that advocacy looks different in a community that's smaller, right? Because everybody knows each other. And so you do, I think, need to be more careful and deliberate about what you're doing while still acknowledging that you have rights. So I guess that's kind of where I'll leave it at.
Algo que me olvidé decir en la pregunta anterior, y ahí voy a la respuesta del señor que ya le escucharon, era que cuando usted vaya a aplicar nuevamente al DACA, se recomienda que usted vaya con un abogado o con un especialista de inmigración. Eso no lo dije en la anterior, se me pasó. Pero con la respuesta del señor, con la pregunta del señor, ¿qué pasa si la chica que se le vence el permiso de trabajar en el 2018, en octubre del 2018, su empleador le pide revisarle los documentos? Se puede presentar un reclamo hay una asociación o una organización que toma reclamos sobre ese tipo con el departamento de trabajo, con el departamento de labor, y sí se puede presentar, pero se obtiene ese beneficio de quejarse, ¿no?
To the extent that this woman or someone else can work something out, I mean, even a simple, instructing the employer that what they're doing is violating the labor law, that might be a better way to go than filing a claim.
Yeah.
Let me go with that. Lo que la abogada dice es que si se le pasa este caso, que alguien se queje, lo más recomendable es por ahí decirle que es ilegal hacer eso, o expresarle al empleador que lo que está haciendo no es correcto, porque no está dentro de las leyes, porque el departamento de Labor y con todas las quejas que tienen están como que muy atrasados. Entonces cuando usted se queje le van a contestar pues, cuando Perú gane el mundial.
Pero entonces, ¿en dónde puede ir los dreamers o los DACA y decir, a ver, imprimo aquí, así está la regla, tú eres mi jefe, me estás pidiendo por esto, estás rompiendo la ley? ¿Ok? Entonces, ¿dónde están esos recursos que ellos pueden imprimir para enseñar?
We gave out one sheets. One of the information sheets that talks about,
Yeah, and I would, so he asked kind of, well, you know, what can dreamers do to sort of protect themselves, to assert their rights? And the first step is to know your rights, right? And then to figure out a way to assert them that doesn't put yourself or your family at risk. And the National Immigration Law Center has a very helpful webinar on sort of asserting your rights as a DACA recipient in employment. So it's the National Immigration Law Center. I believe it's on one of your handouts. Has a very helpful webinar on what happens now that DACA has ended, right?
So those handouts out there are very helpful because they have a lot of information. Anyone can get them.
La organización en la que usted se puede quejar o presentar algún tipo de pregunta es la Asociación Nacional de Inmigración, y tenemos afuera unos papeles con información y números telefónicos y ese número está incluido. Esas son las organizaciones en las que usted se puede quejar o pedir ayuda. Sara pregunta si hay alguna organización o algún grupo en lo que los jóvenes puedan encontrar apoyo entre gente de la misma edad, similares a ellos, si hay algunos grupos en los que ellos puedan tener respuestas, preguntas o juntarse con ellos, si tenemos algún recurso de ese tipo.
So I found in all the years that I've been doing this work, and I've started out studying undocumented youth activists, so these were undocumented young adults who engaged in acts of civil disobedience, so got arrested in 2010 to try to pass the DREAM Act. I've found that over the years, one of the most helpful things is creating space for them in the form of a healing circle. So a space to talk to one another and process what is happening. I think this is taking an emotional and psychological toll on young adults and their parents. And we need to create community spaces for people to share how this is making them feel, right? And what emotions this is invoking, right? So I think that's been one of the most productive spaces. I'll share a couple more.
Dice que en su experiencia han habido jóvenes que han terminado protestando y han terminado arrestados y que lo que se necesita en este momento es crear espacios en la comunidad para que los chicos se puedan expresar y hablar un poco de cómo se sienten y sus emociones, considerando que esto tiene merma mucho la condición emocional y psicológica de los jóvenes, ¿no? Porque es un problema muy difícil de afrontar y lidiar con eso. Y se recomienda que brindemos mejor apoyo en ese sentido, y aparte de eso tiene otros recursos que es lo que va a nombrar ahora.
I think it's also meant a lot to the undocumented young people that I've gotten to know to have community members stand up for them, you know, to just say, I support you, whether that's issuing a statement of support, which I understand has come already from the school district, that show of support is meaningful and encourages people to not be as afraid to to continue to not only live their lives, but to come out to these community type spaces. So showing solidarity and support on behalf of those who would consider themselves allies.
Dice que es muy importante que las comunidades enseñen su soporte, su compromiso y su respaldo con los jóvenes, sobre todo acá en esta comunidad chica y tan comprometida, en la que tiene al School District, el distrito escolar, en el que apoya a los jóvenes y está de su lado y se presenta como un aliado, y bueno, la fundación también, ¿no? Que estamos nosotros ayudando también a los jóvenes a que estén, a darles lo que se les pueda dar en cuestión de soporte, ¿no?
And then there are a couple of spaces that are available online. United We Dream is an undocumented youth-led organization that puts a lot of helpful information out. I don't know how active this space is anymore, but there used to be sort of online dreamer spaces where people could log in and just share how they're feeling in an online space, so that you wouldn't need to necessarily be connected to an undocumented youth organization. So United We Dream is, I think, launching a mental health survey and offering a series of resources on their website related to mental health and the emotional toll this is taking.
Hay unas páginas, hay unos sitios en internet online que los chicos pueden expresar cómo se sienten, entrar en conversaciones online y no necesariamente ponerse en una organización que ayuda a indocumentados o ponerse en esa figura, y de esa manera también obtener un poquito del apoyo emocional y guía en esos tiempos, ¿no? Juntos soñamos, pero la página está en inglés, United We Dream, y están también en los papeles, están en los papeles de afuera, la dirección.
I have a question. Are there any organizations that help dreamers? Like now this is a really short window for the ones that come to expire between now and March. If they basically got 3 weeks, and if they don't have $600, it kind of squelches their opportunity to reapply. So do you know of any organizations that are financially helping any dreamers try to redo their applications?
So I know that at CU Denver we just started a fund. We are encouraging people to give to a DACA student relief fund. I don't know yet, I'm not certain if CERC has any funds running, but there are different organizations I know across California that are supporting dreamers renewing their DACA, and I don't know if it's just supposed to be for California folks. So a lot of the efforts have actually been grassroots through an individual starting a GoFundMe and people sharing them. I see them, they're on my Facebook all the time. But that is one concrete action that individuals who can afford it can take, is to think about, could we start a fund that would allow us to support those who need to apply, because to come up with $500, I think for anybody, well, for me, would be a stretch. Over $500 or $600 in 3 weeks would be a stretch. And imagine that's the case for most undocumented young people.
Melissa pregunta si hay alguna institución que ayude financieramente a los DACA a obtener dinero para la renovación de su aplicación, porque no es muy fácil conseguir los $600 que se necesitan, o 600 y cacho. Entonces dice que en California hay una organización, pero que no está segura si atienden a todos o solamente a chicos de California, y que eso puede ser un buen evento de comunidad, de cómo conseguir fondos, de usar las redes sociales para también de repente generar un evento para recaudar fondos, ¿no? Y de repente como comunidad sería un buen esfuerzo, ¿no?
I also know in the Denver area, and maybe in Boulder, I can only speak for Denver, that there are clinics being held, DACA renewal clinics, where people are volunteering, immigration attorneys and others who are able to review people's applications are volunteering to help people sort of review their paperwork for renewal. That doesn't address the issue of the cost, but it does address the issue of having to put together this paperwork rather quickly.
And that's something else that we're trying to get together with the eco-friendly workforce, a space and knowledge, a clinic. We haven't done it yet. I'm happy to serve as any kind of pro bono resource to anyone that needs it in the interim. interim until we get that established, but we do have that kind of in the works. But if you know someone who needs to renew their DACA application, I'll give some cards or something. I'm happy to do a one-person clinic, or if you can get a bunch of people together to do a multi-person clinic, I'm happy to help do that.
Ella dijo que hay clínicas en Denver que no hablan directamente de eliminar o reducir el costo de financiamiento de DACA, pero sí de cómo llenar los documentos y hacerlo correctamente, y que aminora el costo de repente de un abogado. Y eso fue en Denver. Y la abogada aquí presente dijo, súper buena onda, que lo va a hacer, que ella puede hacerlo pro bono, o sea, gratuitamente, y traer una clínica para bastante gente que necesite saber cómo hacer el proceso, cómo llenar las aplicaciones, y aunque sea de repente una sola persona, ella puede hacer uno con uno. Y ella va a dejar tarjetas aquí para poder ubicarla e informarse.
Yo mandé la aplicación apenas el 25 de agosto, me la regresaron el 28 porque falta llenar algunos documentos. Mi hija ya los llenó y quería saber si alguien me la podía revisar para volverlas a mandar.
So she said she filled the paperwork on August 25th, and she would like to see, and they return it on the 28th, 2 days after, because she was missing some information on the form. She asking if you probably can help her. Y ahí está, señor. Le ha dado su tarjeta para que la llame, el señor la va a llevar gratis. Sí, ahora le doy mi tarjeta también, y si quiere yo voy con usted y le hago la traducción y le ayudo con el problema del idioma si es que necesita. ¿Ok?
Other questions? And I think I would like to talk to you more because it's possible that we might be able to convince some law students from one of the clinics from CU Boulder or DU possibly to come out here. I'm not promising anything, but I know the person who runs the immigration rights clinic at CU Boulder.
Do a clinic, maybe we can a couple of times in states, and we can do it maybe next weekend or the daily and the
Yeah, and I'll see if I can get any volunteers to come out. If not, I'm happy to come back and offer my help. Other questions? Oh, sorry, I can't see all the way over there.
So if the kid's in the middle of their college year and their doctor comes out, what's the average that you expect to see with that student?
Si un joven está en la universidad y está en la mitad de sus estudios universitarios y se le vence DACA, ¿cuáles son los contraefectos de esta situación?
So if they were eligible for asset, they're still eligible for asset. So if they had asset, they still will be eligible to pay in-state tuition.
Si ellos están en un programa que se llama ASSET o están inscritos en ASSET, califican para terminar su carrera siendo in-state tuition o como el que viven en el estado. O sea, se mantendría el costo de residente del estado.
If they were getting any kind of financial aid from the institution, that would probably still be in place. They are not eligible for federal or I believe state financial aid. But if they were getting any help from the school, then that should probably continue. It sort of depends.
Si tiene ayuda de alguna institución financiera o de la escuela, eso se mantendría, pero ellos ya no aplicarían para la ayuda estatal o federal, que es el FAFSA y ese tipo de cosas.
What the challenge will be is that they will likely, if they were working, will not be able to continue working, so they will have to probably work under the table and find a way to pay for the expenses. At CU Denver, undocumented, even those with asset and DACA will have to pay on average $5,500 per semester just to enroll in school. That doesn't include books, tuition, housing. So it's still a significant amount of money, even with asset, that young people have to come up with to pay for college.
Uno de los problemas que vemos aquí es que la gente tiene ayuda financiera, está bien, incluso con asset y con el financial aid y con todo ese tipo de cosas, incluso con eso tiene que pagar más o menos $5.500 al semestre. Eso es en la universidad donde trabaja ella, en CU, Denver, y el problema es que no van a poder trabajar legalmente, no tendrían que trabajar por debajo de la mesa para poder recaudar esa cifra para poder pagar la diferencia.
I know someone who works specifically with financial aid for undocumented students in Glenwood, and I don't have his contact on me right now, so if there's a way to put that out, I can maybe go contact him.
Yeah, okay, that'd be great. And there's a very helpful frequently asked questions about Colorado Mountain College and DACA recipients and this specific decision. So that's also out there in the resources, and it's really very helpful.
Just to extend on that answer that you just gave them, regardless of DACA and regardless of documented status, students in our community would be eligible for early college high school for 2 years, so we could get students an associate's degree, a 2-year degree, at no charge, regardless of those statuses.
I love that. Phil Coleman dice que él representa el School District, a la escuela, el condado escolar, y dice que los chicos indocumentados incluso, aquí, yendo a CMC, hay un programa que se llama Early College, que se traduce como educación superior temprana, ¿no? Ellos pueden ir a CMC por 2 años gratuitamente y obtener su associates, su grado de asociado, que es uno por debajo del bachiller. Entonces tienen esa opción de hacerlo aquí.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Just briefly to close on a more positive note, which is that I have seen undocumented youth fight for DACA. You know, that was a grassroots movement that was born out of the struggle and power of undocumented youth. And the undocumented youth that I have gotten to know are highly motivated by the experiences of their parents, and their parents brought them here for a better life. And they feel a strong conviction to see that through. And so I want to say that I see and feel the community power here. And I think that I'm just really so encouraged by the group that's here, people coming out and saying, I'll help, people saying, I'll have this event. So please always remember, right, that this came out of youth struggle, and that we're going to make it somehow.
Bueno, ya quiero terminar con un mensaje positivo, hablando de que DACA empezó porque los jóvenes empezaron a un nivel de raíz, de abajo, a generar quejas y querer mejorar basados en las experiencias de sus padres, que vinieron a este país para salir adelante y trabajar duro y hacer las cosas bien, y que hay una muy buena energía, no solamente dentro de esta comunidad, sino con todos los jóvenes y los ciudadanos americanos también, que son, sobre todo en esta comunidad, que apoyan mucho, y que ella ve que hay un camino muy positivo y que las cosas siempre salen adelante por gente buena y por buena predisposición.
We'd like to say thank you to Edelina for making the trek up from Denver. She's also working with us at Youth Power 365 doing some research on some research projects we're doing to see what the effect and the impact are of some of our programs. También ella está trabajando con nosotros en nuestra organización para saber el impacto de nuestros programas en nuestra comunidad. So Youth Power 365, we are not a political organization. We can't support any sort of political policy or anything like that, but we are an education organization. No somos una organización política, pero somos una organización educativa. And so we invited Edelina here today so that we could get the right information in the community, because there are so many kind of rumors floating around. ella estaba invitada aquí hoy porque hay mucha información que no está correcta, que está transferando en la comunidad. Also that we love our children in this community, we want them to know their options and their rights. También porque tenemos un amor para los chicos en esa comunidad y queremos que saben sus derechos. And in this moment, there is a short deadline for some kids. En ese momento no hay mucho tiempo para actuar. So we just want to make sure that the people in this room are able to communicate that information to the kids that need it and the families that need it. Queremos que estoy seguro que la gente en este salón puede comunicar esta información a las familias y a los niños que necesitan. So thank you, Eagle County Schools, for giving us the space tonight and bringing out a lot of staff to understand more about it. Gracias a las escuelas del distrito de Eagle for coming para venir, para dar ese espacio, para tener esta junta hoy. Y gracias a todas las familias por venir. Ojalá que todo estará bien para sus familias, para sus niños. And thank you to all the families for coming out tonight. We wish the best to you and your children in their future. Thank you.